Recently, I put together a small, flexible darkroom for black and white printing that I can quickly set up in my bathroom and just as easily take down again and store under my bed when I'm not using it. This video is going to show what I use, how I use it, and it'll have lots of darkroom printing action, discussion of the images, and finally a print giveaway at the end where I'll send 3 of the images that I print anywhere in the world. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and I hope you enjoy. I have been shooting film and printing it in the darkroom since early 2019, and I have approached it obsessively. One of the results of this obsession is binders and binders of film negatives. As of September 1st, 2024, I have shot 756 rolls of 35mm, 482 rolls of medium format, and 208 sheets of 4x5 film. But I've never been able to print as many of them as I'd like. The darkroom I used in Boston was great, but I would have to take an Uber to and from it, and the price was for the whole day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and double on weekends. It was a pretty good deal though that included all the chemicals and you just had to bring your own paper and your negatives. I always enjoyed my time there and Bill was really helpful, but it did mean that I would end up taking the full day off from work and make a very specific plan for the select negatives I was going to try and print so I could try and maximize my use of the day. The result was that I focused on printing the grand, large-scale images that I love to make and showcase on my Instagram, Silver Halide Flowers. This also meant that I never printed much of my 35mm work, which is mostly day-to-day snapshots and fun things that are really just meaningful to me. This is all fine, but now I have a growing collection of well-organized and well-archived negatives and all of the digital scans to go along with them, but at the end of the day, these tend to get lost in the ether of my hard drives and on my camera reel in my phone, which is a shame because I always love it when I find an old photo I like, and it is even better when I can hold a print of that picture in my hands. So, with this home darkroom setup, my goal is to go through my archives and print more, especially the 35mm negatives. Back in spring of 2021, I backed the Intrepid Compact Enlarger project on Kickstarter. It cost $300 and there were plenty of delays. I don't think I was shipped my enlarger until spring of 2022. So a full year later. The Intrepid Enlarger is radically different from traditional enlargers in a lot of ways. It's delivered as just the head of the enlarger. It is meant to make use of a tripod or a copy stand that makes it a lot more flexible and deconstructible than a traditional enlarger, which generally has a really large footprint. There are plenty of drawbacks, and if and when I'm able to set up a more permanent darkroom, I'm definitely going to be interested in getting a traditional enlarger, but the Intrepid is a really fantastic device, and I really like how it lowers the barriers to entry for darkroom printing, and it makes it a lot more accessible in my opinion. I use the same copy stand that I use for camera scanning my negatives, which is great because it saves the space of needing to have 2 similar pieces of equipment. This copy stand is from Negative Supply, but you can even use a tripod to set up this enlarger if you want. The maximum height of this copy stand is about 29 inches, which means with a 6x6 negative and an 80mm enlarging lens, I could almost swing a 16x16 print, but for now I'm sticking to 8.5x11 paper, which makes the most sense for the space. I also thought about the things in a darkroom which take up the most horizontal space, the trays. I don't have space to arrange 3 trays for developer, stop, and fixer in a convenient way horizontally, so I built a pretty janky but completely functional tray rack that lets me stack 3 trays on top of one another vertically rather than horizontally. The developer goes on top, then stop, and then fix on the bottom, so hopefully I don't contaminate the chemicals in the wrong direction. I also invested in a vertical print washer, which was something I'd wanted anyway because it uses a lot less water and much more efficiently, but it also has the benefit of taking up much less space. The Intrepid has a built-in safe light, which is really convenient, but I did get an additional one from Heeland Electronic, which is perfect for small dark rooms, and it makes a big difference in mine. Back in Boston in spring of 2022, I'd made a few prints with the Intrepid, but my bathroom there was very difficult to conveniently make light tight, and I was prioritizing my larger prints at the time and learning how to make the results that I was imagining, so ultimately the Intrepid sat in a box under my bed for almost 2 years. Recently, we moved to Philly, and that's been fantastic. I've already found a darkroom that is really well equipped to handle my larger prints, but I did want to try out the Intrepid and make more use of it at home. I am still in a 1-bedroom apartment, actually a slightly smaller one than in Boston, but one of the benefits is that the bathroom has no windows and it is positioned in a really easy way to make it completely light tight without the need for any additional draping or sealing. So for today, I selected 9 35mm negatives that I want to print, and at the end, like I mentioned, I'm going to give away 3 of them. I believe in printed work existing in the physical space. The digital world is great and is not less real than the physical world, but we do still have to occupy physical space, and I think physical art makes that occupation significantly more enjoyable. It is a dream of mine to share that love of print and to share my art with other people. I still have the large darkroom prints for sale on my website, which I hope you'll check out. And while I believe they are appropriately priced, I know that they are expensive and take up a lot of space. So, as payment for the attention of your viewership, I want to give away 3 of these prints, and my hope is that maybe some of you might also find an appreciation for printed art like I do. Many of these are personal snapshots, and they won't be a part of the giveaway because they're just pictures of friends and family or something, but I do want to talk about the process of making the prints because I think that's pretty interesting. Take, for example, this shot of Darien standing in front of the counter at the Baking Pan, which is a great spot for takeaway food in Durban. I really liked the exposure of the background, but I wanted more detail in Darien as the subject, and so I kept the same exact settings on the enlarger, but I dodged her a little bit with my finger. This was a pretty short exposure, and I probably could have stopped down the lens to give myself more time to make the dodge, but I'm thrilled with the result. What do you think? Which one do you prefer? This next image I took in New York City, and I was crossing the street and I just happened to see this biker come out behind these cars. It was in the evening, so all the cars had their lights on, and I took it really quickly, so it's not perfectly straight, but I really liked the blur that the biker in motion created, and it felt really dynamic to me. I took this image just outside Sedona in Arizona, And one of my favorite things about the way this came out is the little flare on the top of the frame. I think it adds a really nice element to this image, and I love the detail of the backlit trees against this canyon. This picture is from the same trip to Arizona, but from a pretty special place called White Pocket, which is part of the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument. Unfortunately, a lot of my 4x5 film did not come out that trip, and so I definitely am planning to go back, but I got this frame on 35mm. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I love the way that the ground looks like it's from a completely different planet. Anyway, I realized that I spent a lot of time talking about the Darkroom and setting the stage for this video series, so I promise in the next one I'll spend more time talking about the technical aspects of making the prints. But now, as promised, the giveaway. Entry is super simple and totally free. First, down below, hit the subscribe button and like this video. Next, leave a comment saying which print is your favorite and why. And lastly, follow Silver Halide Flowers on Instagram. That last step is especially important because I will notify the winners on Instagram and arrange for where I should send the prints to. I'll cover shipping anywhere in the world, and the entry period will be 3 weeks ending at midnight Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, September 21st, and I'll notify the winners on Sunday just in time to remind everyone about the upcoming October 1st episode the following week. Lastly, I've got a couple interesting videos coming up that I hope you'll stay tuned for, including how I built this hardwood desk in my one-bedroom apartment using hand tools, and also taking some pictures at a coffee roaster in Brooklyn. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments down below. Until the next one, shoot more film.